The original Truth About Tupac podcast was recorded on January 21st, 2021, 21 weeks leading up to Tupac's 50th birthday on June 16th. Now, 3 years later, on June 16th, 2024, we're re-releasing the first 20 of those episodes each week leading up to culminate on the U.S. presidential elections. It's some real Machiavelli. If you feel it, follow it, check it out, tune in. Shout out to Atron Gregory, the lo-fi hip-hop guy, for this dope beat.
You got DJ Daryl in the house, Asher.
Hey, DJ Daryl, welcome.
What's up, y'all?
Did you meet each other last time? Yeah, that was last time. I couldn't remember.
I just chimed in. I just came in the house, just got off the road coming from Los Angeles.
You were in my city and didn't even say what's up.
I didn't know you was out that way.
I'm in LA, but I'm in the Bay part-time and part-time here. My mom's still in the Bay. Well, she's been
okay.
since I was young. I had a parent in LA and a parent in the Bay, so I just think they're both my cities.
Gotcha. Yeah, me and my wife, we back and forth. So we just got off the freeway, pulled up in the driveway, and I seen this right here. So I figured I'd chime in.
Right on.
Thanks for joining us, DJ Daryl. We're getting started here at the top of the hour now that Darius is here. Welcome everybody to the room as we count down this 21-week historical countdown from the inauguration tonight. Every Wednesday, 21 weeks till Pac's 50th birthday on June 16th. And we can do something real big for Machiavelli the Don on his birthday. But welcome everybody. Darius, thank you for making it. I know you're busy, got a lot going on. Leila, thank you so much for both of y'all being here.
It's all praises, brother. That's what we do.
That's what it
Thank
is.
everybody for being here as well on the panel. God evening to everybody. I see you, Big Sean, Ishmael, O'Neal, Tariq, Leonard Former, Hasim, Lisa, Kat, Ash, Terry, Stan, Breezy. Our first panel of guests is here on the chat tonight. Make sure y'all ping people. Let's get this thing going.
Just like that. Yeah, ping people into the room. This is going to be real exciting because, you know, there's a lot of history that's going to be in the room. There's already a lot of history that's here. And, you know, Truth About Tupac originally came out of an acronym, Truth About Tupac, to organically organize, develop, and revolutionary economic and media systems. That's the tattooed dreams, which is the flip of the tattooed tears, turn them tears to dreams, positive. And, you know, so we're going to develop this thing organically as we approach Pac's birthday, 50th birthday at that. He was cut short half of that at 25, if you can believe that. Pac would be double his age this year. It says a lot about a lot of us in the room in terms of our age, but, you know, with age grows wisdom and understanding. So, Leila, how?
I actually haven't been feeling very good, but I'm still here because anytime we can have a conversation about Tupac, I think he deserves all of us to stop what we're doing, to study him, to talk about him. So that makes me feel better. And the fact that we got DJ Daryl in the house. If you all don't know who DJ Daryl is, you need to. And if you listen to Keep Your Head Up, you really need to, because he's the man who did incredible music to soundtrack some of Tupac's amazing songs. So follow DJ Daryl, and then Darius and Asher can tell you more about their journey to creating TAT. And I believe in the movement, and I am here.
Rashad, welcome to the stage.
There we go. Yeah, the volume or something just went down. I'm going to listen for a bit before I jump in, man. I like the room. My brother Hashim, my good comrade, he took me off of an important phone call and was like, man, you got to jump in this room. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see what's cracking. So
that's enough reason right there. Whenever Hashim tells me to be somewhere or tune into something, I'm with you.
You got to go with Hash. If you see that picture of all of us, I'm all the way to the left, holding my guy down, but holding him up at the same time. There's an interesting story behind that picture.
I see you.
Yeah.
Hey,
but
Hashim was in the first Tupac class at UC Berkeley also.
Hey, Layla, how you doing? Anytime you someplace, I troll you until you come see me for lunch when you get back to Oakland, okay?
I'm coming. It's so good to see you, and your work. Part of the whole launch of TAT and the truth about Tupac was really to have a deeper conversation, and your work and what you do from your time at UC Berkeley to what you're doing now to the stuff we have coming ahead of us is part of this whole movement. So it's important that you're here.
Well, I just want to support. I always say everybody Tupac was our comrade, not that, and I think that's what's important in a movement. You got to have camaraderie.
Man, that's super important, man. Appreciate you sharing that with us, man. And Pac's revolutionary history and legacy. It's not lost on the true followers, the true believers, the true compatriots, as you say. But for a lot of the youth, man, they don't have that context, man. So to bring the historical context of which Pac sprang from, and we definitely love that you grace the stage with us, all of you. That the new Pac personally, we are organically organizing the developing revolutionary economic and media systems over the next 21 weeks leading up to Pac's 50th birthday, from a historical night to another historical night. And so we appreciate you bringing Rashad, introducing him to the space, and just wanted to show that appreciation.
Hey, it's crazy. Earlier today, this Clubhouse thing, I want to thank Apple for creating it, whoever did it. This is crazy. But earlier today, man, we had an all-out argument. It was crazy because, I'm an old head. I'm an OG in the hip hop game, right? And some people started saying what is hip hop versus what is not. We had this whole, the elements of hip hop and the knowledge of self part these days and all that, right? And somebody brought up, can you listen to rappers who aren't true to their lyrics? And then somebody blurted out, but Pac wasn't, really who he was. I was like, wait a minute. Hold up. And the conversation got real heated. And then I asked the person how old they were. It's like, man, I'm 36. I'm like, okay, so you had no idea for real. It gets crazy when you mention Pac's name and I'm like, people, you didn't know him. Like I said, what? I kept asking, what lyrics have you heard from Pac that wasn't Pac? And then you kept getting no answer. And I was just like, this is retarded. I had to get out of there.
Man, I could feel that. I see D-Love repping that tat. No, I appreciate you saying that, Rashad. No, I feel that for sure. Darius, was you going to say?
We got some real exciting things coming. We're going to do snippets and little songs. We're going to have different messages. And most importantly, we're going to break down the different minds of our different leaders and compare them to Tupac in the next 21 weeks. And we're going to break it down from Leila Steinberg, from being Tupac's main manager. We're going to break it down from the perspective of Atron Gregory, who was Leila's partner, who actually Leila took Pac to actually manage. We're going to break it down from what we call inner core of Mr. Shakur. And it starts with you guys. So let's get the fans involved, Ash. Let's go around and get some people's testimonies about Pac's, their favorite song of Pac, their favorite story of Pac. And then we're going to bring it back and get the program started. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. Come up here and bless us with, how Pac inspired you.
Brother Tariq, what up, Dreddy?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
All praises, brother. Yeah.
It's good to hear. Good to be here.
All praises, Tariq. Tell us now, where you from, Reek? Tell us your first time you remember hearing a Pac song or seeing a movie or being inspired by some of his movements.
I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. I grew up in North Carolina, Durham, Blue Devil, Duke. First time I heard Tupac, it was probably Rap City or something like that. I seen an interview with him and Sherry Carter, and he had this crazy energy that I had never seen anybody on her show ever have. Like, I was almost scared for her. First song that comes to mind is Holla If You Hear Me. And a story that I liked is a story that I think I heard Leila Miss Layla said this, told this story on one of the movies. I can't remember which one, but it was about them traveling over a bridge and not having the money for the toll. And he was like, "Yeah, this is the last time that's ever gonna happen." And I just thought that was real cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You dropping gems right there. That was a code. We call that Pac energy. You know what I'm saying? When Pac step in the room, you could feel his presence. You know what I'm saying? I had a brother by the name of Pete Farmer. I was hanging out. They had a BET Spagos party. You know what I'm saying? So I'm chilling. I'm doing my thing. I basically crashed the whole BET Spagos red carpet joint. And then this big old buff brother run up to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking we about to have problems or whatever. He like, yo, what's your name? I'm like, my name is Daryl Slug, man. I know me won't forgive me. He like, hey, bro. He said, man, every 20 years, there's somebody that comes around and steps in the room and you're like, who is that? He said, that's presence. He says, you have that. He said, the last person that I said that to was Tupac. I said, really? That's interesting. I said, I just got the script. I'm training to play him in a movie and a life story. I said, everybody say I remind him and look like him or sound like him or I act like him or do something. I'm busy being Darius Love. He said, and I said, I'm here to Darius with love. He said, that sounds like some shit Pac would say or do. And it's just been like that, man, that Pac energy and that presence. And this is why we felt it was more relevant than ever to bring out all of the archive history and footage of the 250 million viewers, over 1 billion minutes watch time, over 1 million subscribers, thanks to this 10-year movement, from just training and starting to play the role to working with Leila and Asher and building this brand that we now can relaunch to educate the people on how prolific this leader and this man was when it came to serving our people and doing something for our people and taking the music and going further than just entertaining us. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it rolling. Let's go to the next person. I just wanted to share that with you, Brother Tariq. Is there anything else you want to add to that or comment back with me and you want to piggyback what I said before we, you know what I'm saying? You can stay on the stage with us. We're going to bring a couple more people up. We want to keep the stage limited from so many people so that we can give everybody the chance, but also with it being a recording, there's no overlays or delays on each other speaking. So that's what we're doing.
Hey, welcome, Jodi T.
Thank you. Well, he's a part of the reason why I love music, and I also wanted to write and rap. And it's like, I don't know, like he just, every word that he said, like I can kind of relate to some of his stuff, but not his actual story. Because everyone's story is different. Like for instance, there's so many songs. I mean, I can't even pick a favorite, but I could say right now, my favorite song to listen to is Trapped because of the situation that's going on around the world. I believe that's an incredible song to listen to. Also, I mean, it's just a lot. Like, he's just amazing.
Jodi,
Mm-hmm.
do you know that that's the only song that Tupac ever recorded and performed written by somebody else?
Wow.
That the song Trapped was written by Ray Love. What happened was Ray came to my living room, basically my workshop in my living room. He was 15. He's Cab Calloway's grandson. And I would write with a whole group of young artists because we were doing these assembly tours in the high school. So Ray's dad came over one day when Ray wasn't around, and he said, our whole family's been in the business and it's the most toxic business and it ruined our family. And if you help my son, you're going to be really sorry. And his dad scared me so much and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I met Tupac right after that. And so Pac, I felt like so connected to, but him and Ray were both so good. And I couldn't figure out how to tell Ray. I couldn't really include him and stuff because his dad was going to get me. But when we were all hanging out, Ray wrote Trapped and he thought it was like he didn't think he did a good job and he balled it up and threw it in the trash and Pac got it out and was like, oh my God, I feel like God was using you to write my lyrics. Like, that's mine. And it was just the craziest thing. And Ray said, well, you could have it. And so he gave Trap to Pac. And I don't think he gets credit for that enough, but that really was a Ray love song. And Pac, in honor of Ray, and because his dad wouldn't let him really be that involved, that was one of the first songs he ever recorded as a tribute to Ray.
Wow, that is amazing. Like, because of the times that we're going through right now, like the George Floyd and everything, I believe that's just one of the songs that he made that influenced the culture and made people think about, things. But like, the police brutality and, hatred amongst African Americans, racial, injustice. It's just amazing how he did that. And it also made me want to think about my music, and I wanted to mean something. And that's what he did. He made his music mean something, poetry, everything. And I was wondering, I also had a question, Mrs. Steinberg. I was wondering, did he write the song for MC Hammer? Was it Pumps and a Bump?
It was Unconditional Love. Unconditional Love, I think, was the song that he wrote for Hammer.
Yeah. Not the one you were asking about.
Okay, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think.
No, Shorty, but thank you, Shorty, for just saying the most important thing that I think out of everything you said was that he made music that had substance, that made you really reassess who you were and what you stood for, and what was your purpose versus perception. If you look at the artists and the content that's being put out, it's more perception than purpose. And this is again why we felt that it's important to reiterate the mind of Machiavelli to this new generation Generation Z. There's no alphabet after that, right? And so we have to remind them how important Pac's, what he did outside of music. So I just wanted to say thank you, sister.
May I speak?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brother Fairbox. Tell us who you are.
All right. First of all, Tupac is my favorite rapper in the whole world. So he just influenced my life. Yet I understand that this Generation Z, because he was trying to tell you to fuck Jay-Z. Jay-Z tried to call himself Hova, and he took the nigger and made it a J into a jigger and put us on the hook and put everybody to sleep, because the Generation Z is all listening to him still, not understanding knowledge of self. So now I decided to rap about 6 months ago, and somebody told me, I believe it was Kid Capri, that my lyrics remind him of Tupac because I only preach. I'm a rapper, teacher, preacher, speaker, because that's what you got to do to rise our generation, because there's no more Tupacs left.
That's right. Keep cooking, baby. Keep cooking.
All right, well, what's going on for real is you got to learn that we got to rise in peace. R.I.P. I died already and came back from the other side. I got the demon eyes. So now when I walk around my neighborhood, I genuinely feel like Tupac because none of my friends want to be taught. This is why I started rapping for my children so that they can understand that we raised off a 9, which don't exist. If a nigga ever hit you with a 9, he really a bitch. I learned that because I grew up with the chicks. You take an 8, turn it sideways, you'll see it's infinity. That's the last number, piece of the Virgin Mary. Life's a merry-go-round, but I'm a 7 because I don't play with the Bloods or Crips. I overstand all of that little kid shit. Yet the 4s, the folklords, the grandparents really understand this numerology shit.
Hey, that's fire.
My name, I know that Christopher Wallace, Tupac Shakur, we understood their whole life because they gave you their life. They put their soul on the beat. My last name is Marshall, and I'm aware that it's martial law pretty soon. My first name is Timothy. I smoked that book. I was hungry. This is a spoken word. I smoked those words. I know nouns and verbs, yet I never been no nerd. And my middle name is Devu. So maybe this is the Antichrist, and I'm the devil on the phone talking too. Yet it's just what you do to the youth so that you can scare them into the proper perception, because we listen to good beats, and then all of a sudden your kids want to pop Percocets because you listening to children with no experience trying to tell you what they think is cool.
Best the goddamn point, especially when it comes to music topics. You just said you got kids trying to make a point that they don't even understand, and everybody following these damn kids who ain't lived long enough to even be speaking up on what shit they don't know.
I'm
Fucks with you,
34.
my G.
I'm 34. Jesus died at 33, so I feel like I'm the Antichrist. Plus, I have a son born on Christmas Day named N.W.A. So I know I got Jesus. I know blasphemy. I'm just witty enough to let my tongue blaspheme. After I died, I
Oh
woke
yeah, I
up and
love
had
that
corona
song.
with Lyme. I lived in the jungle, but I was raised by a lion. My mother's a Leo. That's really a lion. I ain't never been lying. And this is how you just give out the good preach. And
Hey,
explain to them that this is how you lose your wisdom tooth when you jump inside the belly of the beast without understanding that she belongs to somebody else. This is why I rise in peace and tell my women to go brush her teeth. I don't want no more nothing out the belly of the beast. Respectfully, come on.
oh, praises. Hey, brother. Hey, Asher, what we're going to do is we're going to take our brother's number down. We're going to bring him on a podcast, and we're going to have a segment. We're going to let people spit and compare their lyrics to Pac and really see if they really got that Pac energy. But
All
as of
I
That's
right
do
re-
is
now,
this. I feel like I
that's
hey,
should do a
respect.
Q&A, responding, rapping rapidly 24/7. Because once I realized this, all I do is rap it out. Because if we raised off a sound, if you know how to lyrically talk to everybody, that's how you beat.
all right, so we moving right along. I want to say,
Hey,
brother Far Rocks, thank you. Alfonso, go ahead, brother. I see you was next. I see you want to speak.
before I get in there, I would like to say, I'm a little starstruck right now. I'm 48. I've been a Pac fan since he first came out. So that pretty much makes me a fan of Miss Leila Steinberg too, because she's been around since those early days, and I used to read all that. And I like to send a shout out to D Love. You a real stand up guy. I've been following you for a while since you was like in the movies and your Instagram stuff. But I wanted to say is that like I don't know if a lot of people remember back when it was like cassette tapes, when I was like buying Pac cassette tapes. Pac used to put a whole lot of original thought, like even in his liner notes or whatnot. He used to always like have these like soliloquies or whatever. He was always like running his mouth like that or whatever. But I would like to say what a lot that it did for me is I used to read about how he studied with Leila. And it's a book that I used to like break down around the same time, the Dictionary of Cultural Literacy. And I like how she she's in here. I like how you put that he would absorb that and then sort of like differently like interpret it and translate it. And I picked that thought method up and it helped me through a whole lot or whatever, because I was always like that. Like I would take that knowledge and sort of like interpret it and translate. And I think that was a whole big part of Pac. Like you get a whole lot of this different image or whatever. But he was just I felt he was real fearless like that. He had a message he was sending one way. He was in one place, and he always felt like the people in the street was left out or whatnot. And he literally gave himself to go into that role, to go out there to try to like capture their hearts. He might have went too far, but his intentions was good. His intentions was good or whatever. And I felt he was always on the seeking like knowledge and different things, even in those later years with the Machiavelli or whatever, where he was taking military strategy and still trying to translate it to like what I would say is like just the everyday man or whatever, everyday people on the street. He knew he had the ability to like comprehend a lot of this like high tech critical thinking and stuff or whatever, and he would do that. And I felt his bigger mission was trying to always translate that to the everyday person and always trying to empower us. But he had so many different jobs, so many different roles. He was spread real thin. But I think that was one of his main intentions. And I get that from way back when them early tapes, because he was always expressing like some type of thought in those liners. And like I said, I was really enthralled in the whole story of just Leila, the program she had there, and how she was just getting a whole lot of people from different areas and bringing them in. She was just that ear out there or whatever and helping guide that. And I don't know if she ever gets her whole due or whatever, because not
Hey,
only did she help shape
Alfonsia,
Tupac, she helped
how are
shape me.
you? I I just I wanted to say hi to you. It's Layla.
Layla, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Like I said, when I started, I'm a little starstruck.
It's all good. I appreciate everything you said, and I would say before there was a hashtag, that said Black Lives Matter, Tupac was the movement to make Black Lives Matter. And his whole
Boy,
commitment was for the world to wake up and really acknowledge that there is no equality without equity, that there had to be a complete shift in economics. And so, yeah, I appreciate everything you said. And my interest in having this podcast and really addressing the truth about Tupac is that what he represented and his commitment was so important, but the truth about why he's not here anymore is also important. And so, over the next couple months, as we build this out until his birthday, it's important. We have DJ Daryl here, we have Rashad here, we have a lot of people that knew Pac, that were close to him. And so all of us haven't really all been together over these years. What's 25 years, and some of us are still traumatized, and we are hurt and broken that we couldn't interrupt this pattern, that we couldn't see things before it was too late. And so I'm saying that to say I'm excited to see these conversations happen, because there's a reason Tupac is not here, and that's just as important as all that we learned from him. And the other thing that you said was his ability to think critically. Tupac, everything he ever wrote had a thesis and evidence. He was such a critical thinker that he could read a book, tear it up, analyze it, and spit it back at you. And it was so amazing to me that at 25 and 26, here was this teenager who often was able to diagnose and think more critically than I was able to. So he was my teacher also, and I miss him every day. And he's also my favorite lyricist and artist, especially from our time period. So thank you for everything you said. Asher, I didn't mean to cut you.
It's hell when you can't be around your peers. All my life, I grew up around black people, poor people, but I can't live around poor people now because they'll rob me. And why would they rob me? Because they're starving, because there's no money here. But they're telling me, now that I made a little money, I have to move here. So it's not like no one's ever trying to deal with this section. They're just moving away from it. And we're going to have more stars coming from the ghetto, but they're going to all move this way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET, We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish. And because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it. But I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
Miss Leah, excuse me.
Oh, man.
Before anybody say something, I got to tell y'all, D-Love has always embodied that quote, and he's carried that so just wonderfully or whatever. You know, I want to tip my hat to him. You know what I'm saying? I've always noticed that he took that quote, he embodied that quote, and he pushed that quote. And, you know, he's a stand-up guy the way he carries that off.
Hey, man, I'm going to say this because we was talking earlier about what sparked it. Like, I'm from Pittsburgh, right? Pennsylvania. And, you know, after college, I moved to L.A. and bumped into an old friend I met in Houston, King T. And so we started working together, man. I just ended up dealing stuff with Ice Cube, Ice T. And, like, I went back home the first summer I was in L.A. and I got a cousin, my little cousin Mike. He's like, oh, you out in Cali. Hey, man, you hip to Tupac. And I was like, dude from the all around the world, you know what I mean? He's like, nah, you got to hear his tape though. And I was like, man, you know, I'm in Cali now, so I'm thinking I'm big time a little bit. You know, I made a few moves, couple dollars. He's like, man, you got to come, man. You got to listen to this. First song I heard was a soldier story.
Wasn't it?
And say this, at that moment, I don't know what it was. You can't really just tell you like certain people. You can't just say who's going to be at that moment though. Rap changed. Like the whole game was like, wow, who's this guy? Then I listened to like then he liked Soldier Story, so that's the first song I heard. But we went back to the top and played it all the way through, man. I was like, yeah, this dude is he's super special. And I'm trying to think of the name of the song when he was like, America, America.
Oh,
Words of
America.
wisdom. Words,
Words of wisdom.
I know what that
I,
was.
hey, listen.
That's probably I don't give a
know
F.
about that words of wisdom.
Nah, it's words of wisdom, basically.
Oh yeah, that's words of wisdom.
Listen, I come from the era of bars, and the stuff he was saying in between the verses was like,
Asher, let's get it, Asher. Words of wisdom. Let's go. Cue it up. Keep talking.
I
Built
got
upon the strength of a
Soul
nation.
Story lined up right
I
now.
got a quick question. We got heat for y'all. Y'all calling out Pac. We digging in the crates. Let's go.
I got he said Emancipation Proclamation, please. Lincoln just said that to save the nation.
Yeah, let's go.
He said, chopped into a part of my family tree. Mom smoking shit, daddy split, but she steady blame. Hey, that was it. It was over.
Hey, Rashad,
yeah.
Here's one of my favorite lines. DJ Daryl Snow, Panthers, pimps, pushing and thugs. Yo, that's my family tree. I got nothing but love.
All right, fellas. Hold up. Let me reset. We got a couple heavy hitters in the room. Atron Gregory, the OG himself,
Gregory,
in the room.
baby.
Hold up, Alfonzi. Mute out. We don't want to clear the stage. Everybody mute out. Let us do this. Check that we recording. Remember, Pook Diesel in the building. We got Alpha. Okay, let's bring Pook Diesel up to the stage.
What's up, Pook?
Is Atron still here? We had Atron just a minute
everybody
ago.
New coming to the stage.
Atron, you there?
There we go. We live and direct. Truth About Tupac podcast tonight. It's Truth About Tupac podcast, but we live 21-week countdown to Pac's 50th birthday. So just know that this is a live podcast for everybody that comes to the stage.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Gregory, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Blessed and highly favored, just like you and yours. I've been waiting for this exclusive interview on our first podcast. I haven't had the privilege of sitting down and doing an interview with you, so we figured we'd bring you on the Clubhouse, on the official first Truth About Tupac podcast with Atron Gregory, Leila Steinberg, our first lady, a.k.a. Asher Underwood, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the man that has all of his story, contemporary arts, and facts about Pac, the founder of Truth About Tupac, my right hand, Asher Underwood. Let's get this thing cooking, y'all. So, Atron, we want to go to the very beginning.
Wait. I know you want to ask. We're live. You got to ask me a question, but I got to say hello to Daryl because I haven't talked to Daryl in 2 decades. So
yeah, I'm here.
Right, Atron?
What's good with you, Atron?
Nothing, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You probably don't remember, but I seen you in Sacramento at Jay King's little event.
Oh, that's right. So you're right.
But we didn't get to speak. We didn't get to holler.
Right.
We was crossing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's good to see you.
Good
That's
seeing you and hearing you.
Friend. We had a surprise. Like, this is the app that has everyone reconnecting. I saw Daryl on here and I was like, damn, it's been almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I just
and Daryl, you don't age, brother. So let's go ahead and get this going. Everybody want to know who DJ Daryl is. Let's get it going. Atron, you tell us, and then Leila, you both give us a beautiful introduction on Tat about who DJ Daryl is to the whole Tat and Mr. Shakur's whole.
Okay, one more thing. I know you want to go there, Terry. I got to say hello to Terry too, because I don't get a chance to say hello to him.
Bring Terry to the stage.
Atron, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
All right. It's my first Clubhouse little event, so I don't know if I'm doing this right. But what's up, Atron?
Hey, Terry. Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're doing it right. So for
Atron, I was thinking, what year did you start working for Ruthless?
Man, what was that? 88,
88?
I think.
No, way before that. Come
80,
on.
oh, 86. Wait a minute. Let me see how old my kids are. 84 was the first one. Yeah, I think Atron 86 because you came to the Bay for me in 87.
Okay.
Oh,
And was,
Atron, I've known you, Atron, since I'm 13 years old.
yep.
Damn.
Yep. And I'm proud of what you're doing. So for people who don't know who Terry is, before we get back to Daryl, Terry is Jerry Heller's nephew from Ruthless Records, and Terry, I think, also worked at Ruthless at one point. But
Yep.
Hold on, can I say something to Terry real quick?
Yeah.
Terry, you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm all
Terry,
ears.
you were you super cool with will.i.am?
I actually signed them, and I was their first manager.
Now watch this. I'm telling you, I was with Easy. We were all in the office one day, and it's the craziest thing. You brought will.i.am in, and he kicked a freestyle, and he
Yeah, I
was talking
remember.
about skateboarding and all that shit.
Yeah.
I was in the office that day with Eric. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, I signed Will to Ruthless originally, but he never came out and managed him. And then what happened was I started directing music videos and started making money and decided that managing groups was not a very fun job. I'm sure Leila and Atron could attest to that because there's a lot of years and hours of grinding and not making any money. And I kept loaning money to all the guys. And they used to be the App Band Clan and then became Black Eyed Peas, but it was a struggle. So after they got their deal at Interscope, I dipped and just started my own little directing and production company and did a ton of music videos and commercials.
Wow, brother Terry, this is history, and we right now witnessing history, you guys. This is what Truth About Tupac is about. It's about being able to bring all of those that truly were there to be able to share the true stories that we can relive from the actual people that actually committed to Mr. Shakur's legacy. We thank you so much. Let's keep it going. Let's get the warm-up going. Brother DJ Daryl, we're getting a lot of DMs about who you are and what you've done and contributed to the legacy of Mr. Shakur. If you don't mind, sir, give us your warm.
Well, I produced "Keep Your Head Up" for Tupac, along with a lot of other songs, but that's the one that people can really familiarize themselves with. But I actually work with Pac because that's one of the questions that I get a lot when they say, "You produce Keep Your Head Up." So you mean you worked in the studio with him? I actually worked in the studio with him. So I got to know him pretty good. I got to get a real good sense of his personality and how he was moving because, my career started off with like hardcore gangster rap. My group was 415 and the group that I was a part of out of Oakland, it was like what N.W.A is to LA. So that transition, making hardcore rap music and then going into making songs like Keep Your Head Up and Nothing But Love, I got to see a different type of rapper, a different type of MC. And I realized right then that
when you say a different type of MC, what you saw different in Pac at that time that you witnessed that nobody knew?
Well, I tell you this, we had a conversation because when we first met Tupac, we all kind of clicked. When I say we, I mean my group and Tupac. We all kind of clicked. So we had a discussion one time, and the question was asked, "What would make 1 million people go and buy your record?" And the rapper from my group said, "If you rapping about real stuff that's happening in the streets, people gonna listen to it." And Pac was like, "No, if you make music that women can relate to, you're gonna attract 1 million people because guys follow what women do. If a woman can attach themselves to what a guy is doing and vice versa, then you're gonna get 1 million people." And that's how Keep Your Head Up came about. It was like that's a song that's talking about what the struggle of women, and how to keep your head up during those struggles. So it made sense to me. But my group didn't understand it at first. It was like a real debate with that whole concept.
Was that?
Yeah, Richie Rich.
That's Sideshow. Look, Sideshow, Groupie AB.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? We was making songs like that, and it was like, it was really a lot of the lyrics in those and that music was downplaying women. You know, it was the kind of degrading women. And he went the whole opposite direction with Keep Your Head Up. And I was like, wow. And now we can see the outcome.
Do you
You
think
know?
do you think he went that direction due to the fact that how close he was being the only man in the house to sexual infection?
Well, you know what? That's a good
As
question.
Lay as well, you know,
No,
at that time he was
because they're
His
Richie
brother.
Rich and 415 and all those guys also, many of them had single mothers. It was his political upbringing, it was his orientation, it was his commitment to Black Lives Matter. Before it
Yeah,
was a
that's what I say.
hashtag.
That's what I say. He was
I
different
love it.
because a lot of, I mean, I grew up in a single parent household, you know? So if there's no man there to teach you how to respect a woman, you gonna follow what the streets is talking about women. And a lot of women from the hood, you know, they was being exactly what they were talking about in the records. But Tupac was able to look past that and really look at the struggle that women go through and be able to rap about it.
Yeah.
And really make it powerful.
May I chime in
Where
for one
women
more
hear it.
second?
No, hold on. For you know what? Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me reset the room. Hey, Asher, clear the stage except for those that are telling the story of Pac right now, especially with us live broadcasting. So we
Can I read you a poem?
Hold on 1 second. Reset. Clear the stage, Asher. All right. So go ahead, brother Daryl.
Yeah, so to be able to come from where all of us kind of pretty much come from, that kind of background, you know, poor neighborhoods, mother might have been dealing with whatever struggles they was dealing with, and there's no man really in the home to set that son down and explain to him the way life really operates. You got to learn from the street perspective. Tupac was able to look past that and look at the struggle from a woman's perspective and help motivate that woman. And it was kind of odd for me making that record with him because, like I said, I come from hardcore, you know, street music. I mean, our group, we still talked about police brutality and things of that nature, which I think is what made Tupac interested in me producing music for him. But that transition coming from that side of the fence going to the side of the fence that he took me, it opened my eyes up a lot about where I can go with music. And he just had that vision from the gate.
Tell me about something personally. We've heard about him professionally as a music artist. What was something DJ Daryl, you know, for making Keep Your Head Up and being around him and understanding that he had that vision and he had that presence and he had that gift, that thing that we all talk about, that Pac energy? What's something personally that stuck out with you about?
That's a good question. One of the things I recognize with him, and even to this day I still reflect back to how Tupac was. One of the things was when he first came home from doing his little time. We was all at Death Row Studios, and he had a DAT with a bunch of music on it, and he was like, "Daryl, I want you to listen to some of these beats. I'm considering using for my new album." So he was playing them. I listened to about 7 of them. And I asked him, I said, which one you going to use? He said, I'm using all of them. And that was a big shock to me because today I still do music. And I got artists who they're real picky about what kind of music they want to rap to. And I'm like, why? And what I noticed with Tupac, he let the music take him to different places. He didn't try to take the music nowhere. If he listened to a song, he listened to it, and wherever that music was taking him is where he went, which I think is why he has so much different type of music. I don't see that in rappers today. Everybody is choosy and picky about what they want, and he just never was. And he was like that with people as well. I'll tell you another story. I don't want to say no names, but we was all hanging out. He was doing an interview, and these are rappers. These are rappers that we know. And one of the rappers was trying to get in the interview, and another one of the rappers was making fun of that rapper that was trying to get in the interview. And Pac was like, "Don't knock him from trying to get his shine. He's trying to get on just like we all trying to get on." And I found that like really interesting because he cared about people. No matter who you were, he cared about people. And you don't see that in too many people today. And those are things that I always reflect back on in my life today about Pac that I don't see in other people. I mean, you might catch it, in some people, but it's very rare. But Pac, it was just like breathed to him. He just a caring person, and he cared about what he was saying to people, what kind of image he was portraying to people. He wanted people to see the real about life and what's going on around us and with our people. And you don't see that no more. Now everything is popularity. You got people just acting crazy just to get likes and followers. I don't think if he was still alive, I don't think he would be on that page. I think he would just be on a whole more political page, and a lot of artists wouldn't be who they are today. But that's one of the things I always will remember with him. Like I say, I carry it with me today.
Wow. Can I ask a question real quick?
Please, brother.
Yeah. Hey, Daryl, I remember, man, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the kind of cat that was in Starlight when they was mixing down Nothing But Love, right? And Darren Harris might have been mixing with you guys and stuff, right? And is that the same song? I remember Pac in the background doing some liminal shit where he's like, buy the record, buy the record, buy the record. Even though you don't hear that shit in the regular one, though, when they all mix it down and everything. But, so those who don't know, Daryl, you a legend in the streets, and that's big. But, when I was asking you a question about the woman part, because I think, I'm a Panther Cub. And so when I was with Pac in the studio, he wasn't Pac that blew up because I'm friends with Dion and Shock. But,
right.
Yasmin Fula, right? Gaddafi, may God have mercy on his soul, who passed away. She has a book called Life of an Outlaw, and everybody should go out and buy it, right? Order and everything. But in Life of the Outlaw, she has 5 different women who influenced Pac's life. One was Yuri Kuchiyama, who people don't know was given Malcolm X assassination when he got shot. And he has other women in it, but he was really powerful about women, which is contrary to what people try to say. But one of the things I think is so dope is, do you remember the song on Tupac Now, on Part-Time Mother? Like, if you guys listen to that song, and in the middle, Angie Prescott is rapping in the middle part, right? What people don't realize is, but Pac wrote her lyrics. And so to me, one of the dopest things that he can write lyrics as a woman would write shows his connection with women and everything. And if you look at the Keep Your Head video, because I'm from Richmond originally, so y'all can know, right? All my niggas in Richmond, Brandon, everybody in the video. So I'm looking like, wow, like this video, the song was dope, the beat is dope, but at the same time, look, the video is really, really connected to uplifting women. I think that's an important part as we push forward with this movement for Pop. But hey, man, I appreciate your work, though, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate it.
Asher, I wanted to pass the mic back to you, reset the room.
Terry, I saw your bio and heard you referencing Ruthless and will.i.am, and I heard a story once, and I was really curious to know if you would know when and where it was or how it happened. But somebody told me a story one time about the first time that Pac was he was at a club somewhere, and the Black Eyed Peas came in and they were breaking, and that's when he first connected with the crew, is through their dance, through their history dance. Did you know what that club was, or that experience of story?
So I don't know that story, to be honest with you, but yeah, Will and Mookie, who was one of the original guys, and then was replaced by Taboo and Apple, were all like dancers. So most likely it was probably this club called Ballistics. If anybody's from LA and remember, it was an 18 and over club on Highland, and it was a bunch of actor kids that put it on, and it was actually a pretty cool like environment and setup. That's actually where I met Will, but I honestly don't know that story. But I'm not surprised because they're phenomenal dancers, and that's what they were known for originally. That's what breakdancing. They had like, I don't know how to describe their style. They had breakdancing, but they just would go to clubs and dance for 5, 6, 7 hours. And if there was a microphone, Will would freestyle. And yeah, that was our life for definitely a good few years.
Man, thank you for sharing that, man. Also, thank you for joining us. Salute for you.
Thank you for having me.
For sure.
Now, Now we're going to reset and we're going to bring it back to where it all began and where it all started. All right, I'm going to do this again. I'm a little nervous and I don't get nervous. But you know what? This is for Pac, y'all. This is history. This is live. This is right now, the 21-week countdown to Mr. Shakur's 50th birthday. The man himself, Mr. Atron Gregory, where it all started and began. Can you please do us the honor, Atron? Give us a little warm-up and background and take us into the story of where you and our first lady, Miss Leila Steinberg, discovered the one and only Mr. Tupac Shakur.
All right. Well, the story, I guess, goes back to Ruthless, and you guys, Larry, Leila, and Terry seem to know the dates better than I do, but 1986 or 87, when Leila was doing shows in Santa Rosa, and I was road managing for Ruthless. So I road managed for all the early Ruthless acts. So JJ Fad, Michelle A, and of course Easy and N.W.A and the DLC. We had a show with JJ Fad in Santa Rosa. Came up there, Leila showed us a great time. Everything was just beautiful. I think it was during the day. It was a beautiful day. And at the end of the day, and as we were leaving, I reached out to Leila and said, hey, I really appreciate it. Anything you ever need from me, don't hesitate to holler. And I gave her my card. And I bounced. So now we're looking about a year or two later, after I left Ruthless and started my own label, TNT, and had a group called Digital Underground. And this is pre-Tupac with Digital Underground. And Digital Underground was doing pretty well. And Leila called me and said, hey, I have someone that I want you to meet. And so I told her to send me a tape. And she sent me a videotape. And I think the tape, Leila, was of Pac and Ray and Diz, if I'm not mistaken, on the grass.
Yeah,
and
from my backyard, we threw a concert for you. It was just us. We had to have a real hype concert on the grass in my yard.
So, as a little side note, right now, so I don't ever throw anything away. Sometimes things get lost, but I never throw anything away. So we're in our third week now, going through hundreds and hundreds of VHS tapes, looking for that one tape right now as we speak, to see if I can find it. So Leila sends me a tape. I like what I see. At the time, Shock and I had an agreement that if I liked something and he liked the artist, if we both liked the artist, then we'd sign the artist. If one of us didn't like it, then I wouldn't sign the artist to TNT. So I asked Leila to go to Starlight, and I think there were some people earlier, or still here, that know Starlight Studios in Richmond. It's not there anymore, but that's where we did all the recording early on. And Leila took Tupac to Starlight. Ray couldn't go, and I let Leila tell the complete story about why Ray couldn't go. But for the sake of not, just dragging this story out too long, Leila took Tupac, and Leila would call me and say, "Hey, Shock's not letting us in." I'd call Shock. Shock, I think, was mixing a record at the time. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to let him in, but I'm mixing right now. I can't. So I don't know how long you waited, Leila. It might have been a couple of hours before you guys finally got in to see Shock. And I know that you guys got in. And then Tupac rapped a cappella, and I think it was Panther Power. And there was, what was the other one? It was Panther Power and something else. I can't remember the other song. But Shock called me, and he loved Tupac. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Shock, our first record with Digital Underground, a lot of people know about Underwater Rhymes. But on the other side of the record, on the B side of the vinyl, was a song called Your Life's a Cartoon. Very conscious record. So Shock even though there's Do What You Like and Same Song and all Humpty Dance and all the fun songs, Shock was a very conscious person and still is to this day. So when he heard Pac talk about Panther Power, it was right up his alley. But a lot of people don't and didn't know that. So that was the beginning of us starting to work with Tupac and Leila.
And from that moment, from working with them and seeing the evolution of how quickly the relationship between Pac and Shock, how quickly did you personally witness and see that Pac was eventually going to be a talent of his own?
When Pac told me that he was going to do it. Pac was never hesitant to tell you what he was going to do at all. And, he told me what, he wanted to be a star. He told me he wanted to be in movies. He told me he wanted a hit record. And that's what his goals were. And the interesting thing that Daryl mentioned earlier was Pac's humanity, and everyone is talking about Pac's humanity. In listening to Daryl talk, it makes me wonder how much of that he got from Shock. I can tell you a story just today. There's a rapper in Oakland, and I don't want to, say too much about it, but there's a rapper in Oakland who sampled one of Digital Underground songs, and it came up today. And I asked Shock if he wanted to clear it. Not only did Shock say yes, he said, make sure you don't charge him.
It's my man.
He said, I've been blessed over the years, and I want to bless somebody else. And this guy had, it's not independent. This guy has a deal on a major label. But I sometimes wonder if the closeness of Shock and Pac also helped Pac with his humanity, or that might have just been natural, and that might have been also what drew them together.
You know what? I think you're right. Because I spent a little bit of time around Shock too, and he has that same kind of thing going on. So you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So
do you hear that? That's a brand, Atrium. When I first said it, it gave me chills, and it just did again. The Shock and Pac. I mean, we could do a series just on that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's interesting because I know Pac through Shock, because Shock was a friend of mine. I was the president of Black students at UC Berkeley, and you're right, he was extremely conscious. I mean, I remember he was telling me how they used to wear the red, black, and green socks and stuff and do a lot of stuff. So he was really, really conscious. I'm glad you mentioned it. But I got a question for you. I was close with Dion because I went to Cal. He worked up there, as you know, in the food place, right? And that's before I do Pac. How did I keep getting? And I pray for Dion Evans. I love Dion Evans. That's close to my heart. He passed away. Y'all keep him in y'all prayers too, just like we do Pac and everybody else. But how did you guys get Dion to do most of the songs for Brenda's for Apocalypse Now? Who chose that? You or Shock?
Dion was actually brought in through Money B. Mun knew Dion, and I don't know exactly how Mun knew Dion, but Mun knew Dion.
And they both grew up on Alcatraz together.
Maybe that's it. And then so Pac early on, and even listening to Daryl when he talked about those 7 tracks, Pac was appreciative of people who gave him music. It wasn't like, give me some music, and I'll pick out the best one. He appreciated people sharing their gifts with him, and so Dion brought him some tracks, and he liked them and he used them. But I think the connection was Mun.
I would also just add to that, Atron, that when I don't know who was saying how picky some people are, but the one thing about Pac is he could take any beat and make it a hit. It didn't matter. And I haven't seen that in anybody since. So
that's what I was talking about right there. I've never seen him turn down any music.
No,
or say, I don't like that. I never seen him say that. He just, whatever the music took him, is where he went with it.
Well, you made one of his biggest hits, Daryl. So the fact that you did one of my favorite songs, I think Keep Your Head Up is one of his masterpieces and will live in infinity. But or infamy or whatever the word is. But seriously,
You know what,
it didn't
Layla?
matter what.
You know what, Layla? Not to cut you off, but you know what? It's only right. I want to actually historically, because we're the truth about Tupac, and this is the first podcast. So we want to go down and artifact and actually do a fact check and put it in our history book and notations that what DJ Daryl said and what Atron Gregory doubled back on and what Layla crossed the T's and dot the I's was that Pac was able to go where the beat took him.
He took the
right?
beat.
He took the
Yeah,
beat.
he took the
He
beat.
took
but
the
but
beat.
but the beat helped. The beat was a vehicle for him, basically.
Right. He
So
didn't need to try to go and try to find a place. He just went where the beat already
was
took
was
him
was
to go.
supposed to go.
Yes.
Well, for the sake of documentation, Dee, because you wanted to do that, it really is a historical fact, and it's important, and especially Daryl being the producer that he is. It wouldn't matter if you had just the most simple beat that anybody else would throw away or something complicated. He could hear something and find the melody in anything
and make it work. Yes,
and
that's
Can I say something real
yes.
quick? He came from an era where if you rapped, like you got to understand, there would be ciphers going on. There be any beat a DJ put on. If you had the mic, you rap to it. And I heard him once say, and this was Death Row Pop. He's like, man, we got Daz. Daz was doing a lot of stuff. He said, I got Dre. He said, let me tell you something, man. I don't give a fuck who those niggas is. Them beats are not gonna outshine my rap. He said the very worst case scenario is you're gonna like the beat and you're gonna like the rap. But he said he never would let a producer make him. And that's
Hey, I was like, D, since you recording this, just a factual story. I don't know, Adrian Leila may not know this, right? I'm in Crescent Park, right? That's in Richmond, California, for those who don't know. And it's interesting because Richmond plays a big part in Pac's life. Everybody's talking about Oakland. And what I find funny is Jamal Joseph, who anybody knows is a Black Panther Cub. Well, he's a Black Panther, but he was a Cub, and him and Afeni Shakur flew to Oakland to meet Bobby Seale and Huey P. And after they met them, they were driving around, and Jamal said all of a sudden it ended up in Richmond. And Feeney said to him, oh, all the niggas is in Richmond, not Oakland. And I found out ironic because Starlight Studios, Man, Mike Cooley, Pee Wee, Jeremy, all these people are Richmond people who really were around it. But I said it because Jeremy, Jay-Z, not DC JC, I was in Crescent Park with him. He made a beat. He said, man, I'm going to let Pac hear the beat. We get in the car. We drive from the Crescents to Starlight down the street. We get to Starlight. He says, Pac, man, I made this beat. Check it out. He plays the beat. And for those who've been in Starlight, you know, you get that little first room you walk in before you go into the studio, like a little area and everything. He listened to the beat. He put it in his, and he had like a little, what do you call a CD? 8-track tape. He goes in there, listens to it, takes his pen out. And at one time, he writes the song, Something Wicked, This Way Comes. Put Jeremy on and put that song on the thing. And one night I saw him do this. And it's deep because people didn't even know Something Wicked This Way Comes is a book by Ray Bradbury. So it showed his intelligence, how much he read, how much he could take a beat and put it on, and also how he would help a young brother like Jeremy who had no beats done.
And brother, this is the type of what things happen when the people that were there that actually contribute to Mr. Coors and the Shakur. This is why we, as historians and journalists, when it comes to getting the truth about Tupac, we dedicated 10 years, over 1 billion minutes watch time, 250 million views, over 1 million subscribers, and it couldn't happen without the inner core of Mr. Shakur. We want to thank the audience for your patience. We want to reset the room. We want to be able to bring up some more questions and different people. As of right now, we didn't get the beautiful poem from the Sister Brave Poets, so I think it could be no better time. Sister, are you ready?
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not very long. Well, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and in London I was drifting off, but D-Love called me up on stage, so I automatically clicked myself on top. Because while it looks like the human race is disappearing into screens as composers battle with machines, but here on Clubhouse, the connection feels real as Leila and the legends share and reveal. Hearing Daryl and Terry and Hashim and Asher speak the truth on a poet and thought leader from whom we could otherwise no longer hear. But as Amanda said tonight, there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it, and if only we're brave enough to be it. And blessings that Leila spotted that light, and if she hadn't, back in the poetry circle, back in Santa Rosa, the world would be a different story. Channeling it through to change the trajectory. Blessings to Leila and friends for sharing this oral history.
Wow. That is amazing, sweetheart.
I mean, it's,
wow.
I don't know. You're welcome. I might get to bed now.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Asher, I think we should go ahead and open up the panel for questions for the actual people actually on the stage. I think it's a great time for if Atron or Leila or Brother Rashid or Hashim or Terry, if they have any questions, the audience has any questions, please feel free.
Real fast, I just wanted to introduce Jodi too, because I see Jodi joined us. And I want to just say that when you look at artists and you look at impact, when you begin to study artists at Princeton and Cal and Harvard and USC, then you know that that artist is locked into history, because that artist is now being analyzed and examined through a critical lens and through an academic lens. And so I say that to say Professor Jody Armour, who you'll see in the second row, has brought Tupac into the law department at USC and informed my work with Jody. I've been so blessed to spend over a decade really a student of Jody's work, but also a comrade in the struggle to make changes and really address what's going on in this country and policy and procedure and language. And so with that, I just want to make that introduction, because that locks in our work. That validates that not only was this young man this incredible artist and activist, but he has impacted departments all over the world, actually. And there's no greater thing than to see him being discussed and analyzed at USC in the law department and affecting a professor like Jody Armour. Right, Jody?
Thanks a lot, Leila. Yeah, you know, Pac's legacy is profound and abiding, right? And I opened my book, Nigga Theory, which is inspired by Pac, Nas, you know, the so-called gangster rappers. But from my perspective, you know, Cube, Hope, from my perspective, N-word virtuosos who were able to spit oppositional discourse in a sometimes profane and disruptive, often profane and disruptive, but effective way. And you know, I have in my prologue, I go right to a quote from Pac's Solidarity Dirge, Life Goes On. How many brothers fell victim to the street? Rest in peace, young nigga. There's heaven for a G. I'll be alive. I told you I never thought of death. My niggas. When I'm talking about how many different uses the N-word has, it can be negative. It can be something that you use to wound. You know, it can be a jagged edged epithet. You know, like when Chris Rock says, I love black people, but I hate niggas. But it can also be like in that Tupac Solidarity Dirge hook, you know, a term of endearment. My niggas, we the last ones left. And so he, you know, was able to find all those new possibilities in the language. And I've been really blessed, Leila, through the years to be able to talk about that with your class in the context of Mike's sessions, which really profoundly influenced my writing of the book, as I've told you before. So yeah, Pac's spirit really is animating a lot of serious scholarship, as well as moving a lot of hearts and minds on the popular culture front.
Yes, Dr. Jody, we also just want to say to you the truth about Tupac. We are so ever grateful and thankful for you to continuously give us the platform to utilize your Armour home. It's such an honor to be able to perform on Pac's 40th birthday. I'll never forget performing for the late, great John Singleton at the time that he was signed on as a director. And to anyone who's ever been to the Armour House, it's Jody, I can't say to you, doctor, how you have opened up to the community. You have been an example, and you have been such a great partner to our First Lady, Leila Steinberg, and the whole AIM movement. So again, we thank you and bring you here on the first Truth About Tupac podcast. And we actually would like to get a little warm up and a little bit of background of yourself for those that don't know you like we know you.
Jody, you might be on mute.
Thanks a lot, Asher. Good looking out. What got me going with Pac early on was that, that Chris Rock routine where he goes back and forth in front of that all-black audience just about in Chocolate City and says, I love black people, but I hate niggers. And one of his core definitions of a nigger is a black person who's done a crime. So I saw Pac as saying, well, you're going to call people who do crimes black folks, black young males who do crime niggas, as distinguished from lovable black peoples. Well, I'm that nigga then. I'm that person you're demonizing, otherizing, monsterizing with the N-word that way. So I'm going to give you my perspective from the so-called nigga narrative, right? I'm going to penetrate pop culture with multi-platinum albums and really give the world a different way of looking at so-called niggers or black criminals. So my own dad was just that. He was a black man convicted of possession, sale of marijuana, and sentenced to 22 to 55 years in Ohio State Penitentiary for that crime of possession, sale of marijuana. And he was looking at rotting in a jail cell unless he got language, word work to work for him. So he taught himself the law from the warden's own law book, started writing his own writs of habeas corpus, representing himself pro se, up through the state and federal system until I was standing with him in Cincinnati in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Cincinnati's where the Underground Railroad came up in the antebellum South. So it is where a lot of black bodies in bondage found deliverance. And here was my dad, another black body in bondage in Cincinnati, again, standing before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, literally arguing for his life. And I was standing next to him as a 14-year-old, and he prevailed in his case, Armour versus Salisbury, that I teach now in my criminal law class. And I saw then the power of language, that words are acts with consequences. And I still see, and that's what I'm drawn to Tupac through, with the recognition that he's been able to take the language and make things, find possibilities in it that nobody had imagined, and make it work in a way as a political tool, as a unifying tool. And so that's kind of my background and why I connect law and language. I tell my students there are 4 occupations in America whose bread and butter is language, word, work. That would be writers, poets, lawyers, and rappers. So that's why I'm in here. I'm so connected with it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jody. And again, we can never, ever thank you. There's not enough words that you've been unconditionally sacrificing your home, your time, your intellect to the movement and the cause. And right now, we would like to open up the panel and ask some questions to anyone.
Yes, we should note too that when you say his home, people don't know about the mic sessions, the Mind of Machiavelli, every Tupac birthday party over the last decade been right there at Professor Armour's house. So this is a 21-week countdown to Pac's 50th birthday. This is the first week from this historical day, from inauguration to Pac's 50th birthday. Every Wednesday, we're going to be here from 8 p.m. West Coast time to 10 p.m. So we got about half an hour, which is the opportunity for us to turn it over to the audience, to let audience members come up and ask questions to anybody on the stage or the panel. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure you ping people in for the last 30 minutes. Let's get the Pac in.
Before we go, Asher, let's also remind everybody to go follow The Truth About Tupac. Please go follow The Truth About Tupac. Asher, please tell them where in the actual cadence to where to follow us on all of the different social media platforms.
Right. Yeah, Truth About Tupac movement, truthabouttupac.com. That other side of the puzzle we're going to put together like a hieroglyph. But Truth About Tupac's not hard to find. And we do have a couple people in the audience.
I think Allah has waited a long time. I'm not sure if she wants to say something.
I'd like to hear from Onel as well as Aaliyah. And then we brought Neil to the stage. So thank you.
Ladies first. Go ahead, Aaliyah.
Thank you so much. I got pinged by Brother Hashem. I'm honored to be in this room. I'm actually really emotional listening to everything because Tupac to me is, is just the embodiment of what you have to do when you make it as a brother, especially a Black man with all odds against him. He used his voice, being young, hearing that he got shot 9 times. It was something prolific. And then on top of that, just being in the room with all you guys. Thank you, Leila. Thank you, everybody who was a part of his life and that believed in him, loved him, nurtured him, and gave him a chance, encouraged him. And that's all a young Black man needs. And he expressed that through his music. So I appreciate just being amongst all you guys because this is legendary. So thank you for taking the time.
Hey, Aaliyah.
Yes.
Hey, Leila. I was going to connect. Aaliyah Sharif is an artist. Well, all y'all can Google her. It's the closest thing to a woman Tupac you ever gonna see. She got the right politics.
Aaliyah.
So you gotta check her out.
I
Aaliyah
found
Sharif.
her.
She's being honest, but you need to hook up with her, Leila. She might like my little cub, but she a Panther cub. And if anybody want to check her out, she's dope MC. She's not saying it right now, but that's cool.
Nah, thank you. I appreciate that, Brother Hashim, and thank you, Leila, for following. Real talk, when Tupac said he guaranteed, he was going to spark the brain to change the world, I felt like he literally passed me the baton, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. So that was just something that motivated me to do this music. He spoke up for the homeless, for the poor, for people, that didn't have a voice, the attitude, the leadership. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to share right now.
Sister Aaliyah, when I went to the Tupac Resurrection premiere and I was with Mama Faye, and I remember sitting at the after party, I didn't get a gold book, and Tyson was sitting there with Mama Faye, and I remember Tyson had regretted not smoking with Pac. So if you go on The Truth About Tupac, we got an interview where it's a true story that I remember watching and leaving that film where he says, I might not change the world, but I will spark the brain. I guarantee I will spark the brain that does. I felt that same way, not knowing that I'll be called to do his voice in N.W.A. for Coachella, or to have the life story, LOI to play him in the film, or to more importantly be partners with Asher Underwood and D. Leila Steinberg and the whole family of Mr. Shakur, to be here 12 plus years going strong and coming up on his 50th birthday, and to be seeing such great talent like yourself to still carry that torch in this generation. It goes to show you that the marathon continues. And this is why it's important that we would love to do an interview with you and bring you into the AIM family and be able to see how we can help facilitate your voice, your message, so that you can continue to change the world. We honor you, sister. So thank you for your testimony. Moving right along.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I would love that. I got goosebumps just from hearing that entire story. Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
and I just wanted to say as well, DJ Daryl, thank you so much for sharing your story. I actually was in tears like majority of the time you were talking, because I just seen Tupac here like now, and what the world would be like, the hip hop game. He wouldn't have, well, in my opinion, you guys know him best, but I feel like he wouldn't be going for a lot of like the stuff that's passing in hip hop nowadays, and the way that the music is being used to dumb down the culture versus empower us and teach us and tell us where we came from. It's more so just about materialism, and a lot of this stuff actually ends in mental health issues and self-hate.
Yeah, I believe if he was still here, he'd be pointing out how we going backwards from the direction he was headed with us, because he had a lot of big dreams, a lot of big plans, and man, it's like all that stuff is out the window now. It's crazy.
Well, it says in the last
on a different level.
It says in the last, it will be, a lot of false prophets. And as you can witness and see, our culture, if you look at the hip hop culture, we influence the world because it is the culture of the world. And it's very few prophets, right, that truly come every 20 so years, that are truly ordained and anointed to lead the people, that are connected to the people, that are the true shepherd to the people. And we can't lose the fact that every so often we get a Tupac. We just had a Nipsey that passed, right? So the Most High is continuously keeping order within the nation. So all we got to continue to do is break down the mind of Machiavelli, break down the leaders of Martin Luther King, break down the leadership of Malcolm X, break down the leadership of Marcus Garvey, break down the leadership and be able to understand what it is for us to push it to the next level. What is it that they didn't do that we can do so that we can nationalize the movement and we could play our part? And this is why we wanted to create the Truth About Tupac podcast, to be able to re-spark that brain and that mind, that will.
I appreciate you saying that, Darius, because that does not only reset the room, but it resets the movement and what this was all about from the very beginning in terms of being the truth about Tupac, learning the truth of Pac's legacy, what he was about, what his music and message was about, what his movement was about, even more so importantly than what happened. I wanted to ask, Neil, I was checking out your bio below. I was just reading your history and the culture of hip hop from K-Day, some of the legends that you work with, and something that really stuck out. It says that introducing a new film process, the trickster method. And that's interesting to me is because how I found Leila as it was, I think somebody was talking about the ladies that Pac knew and that influenced him, and how Michael Eric Dyson and Holler If You Hear Me, Leila was Tupac's literary soulmate, that they shared books. They shared books together, and it was Leila's referencing of many books in those interviews with Michael Dyson, as well as the Thug Angel documentary, that made me seek her out and find her. And I just pulled out this quote real quick before you respond about Michael Eric Dyson referring to Tupac. It says that basically Tupac has become a signifying trickstering figure who has showed up more fully by disappearing. He is accurate. Anyway, so this is a quote from my thesis where I talked about the comparative mythology of Tupac through the allegories of Black Jesus, Machiavelli, and Tupac Amaru, and the griot and the trickster figure that Tupac posthumously became larger than life after his passing. And that kind of brings to what DJ Daryl was saying. So I do want to go back to what DJ Daryl was saying, but I did want to acknowledge Neil in the room, and would love to hear from you in terms of how Pac inspired you, if there's any connection in reference to the trickster method, and then bring that back over to DJ Daryl in terms of what Darius is saying, if we can reset the room and reset the movement and get people energized for the next episode.
First of all, that was an extraordinary segue. I was the vocalist for the Mixmasters 1580 K-Day. The irony of all of this is kind of heavy because Asher, you and I have spoken before on your site. Darius, you and I have actually done a show together in Los Angeles with a guy named, he was a guy from out of Atlanta, a promoter, and he had you hosting a stage during some show we were doing in Los Angeles. It might have been pre like Grammys or something, some sort of event. So you and I kind of hung out. You were in one of those RV, Chrysler RV joints, the Sprinter. I think it was a black Sprinter. But so you and I hung out, and then Leila, I actually attended a class that Leila had and I believe it was in Los Angeles, and someone referred me over there, and I just kind of voluntarily came over and hung out and spent some time with her process, and just really was able to get a feel for how she impacted Pac. It was very, very clear to me at that moment. But the irony of all of this is that I was in Arizona, and the Super Bowl was coming to Arizona. I believe it was 2008. And I had a good friend of mine that was trying to fly into town to Phoenix at the time for the Super Bowl. And he had a ticket he was trying to get rid of. So he sold it on Craigslist to a guy named Alan Schwab. Now, the irony of all this is that Alan Schwab, I don't know if anyone's heard that name, but Alan Schwab is kind of famous for funding a lot of films. And the reason that I had been dealing with this guy named Alan Schwab was because Curtis Blow, who was my mentor, had put me on task to produce a film called Crush Groove 2. So I was talking to Alan for months and never met him personally. And then my boy comes into town talking about how he sold a Super Bowl ticket to a guy named Alan Schwab. Could I take him and drop the ticket off? And I'm like, did you say Alan Schwab? He says, yeah. So I take him to meet Alan, and we end up hanging out with this guy for hours. By the end of our time hanging out, he gets a phone call, and he looks over at me, and he says, yeah, have we found the lead for that movie yet? And he says, oh, okay, well, because I got him sitting here with me right now. And then he says to me, hey, he says, can you take me by my hotel, because I have the script for the Tupac biopic, and you'd be perfect to play the lead. This is what this gentleman says to me. Now, keep in mind, first of all, I'm 7 years Pac's senior. So when they said that they wanted me to play a 25-year-old guy, and it was clearly years after his passing, I just didn't think it was realistic. But everywhere I went from that point forward, I would run into somebody who was like, oh my God, do you know who you look like? All the way to the point where I went to a concert to see my mentor, Curtis Blow, at the Arizona Fairgrounds, and there was, on the same ticket, there was Digital Underground, Coolio. Curtis Blow was the reason I went, but Naughty by Nature, I think, was the headliner. Well, I'm standing in the side field waiting for Kurt, and Shock's road manager comes up to me and he says, hey, are you the guy that's doing the Tupac tribute? Well, the irony was I hadn't told anyone that I was going to do it. And so it was kind of odd that someone was asking that question of me. I really didn't have a whole lot of chance to think about it or talk to anyone about it. And I said, well, yeah, I am. And then he says, so do you know any of Pac's stuff? And I said, well, I can't say I really do, but I probably know like one song. And he said, well, what song do you know? And I said, I Get Around. The next thing I know, the security's grabbing me by my arm and flinging me onto this stage, about 15,000 people in the audience. And Shock is playing I Get Around. I grabbed the mic, and to be frank, it's not the first time I touched the mic. It was just the first time I touched the mic doing anything that had to do with Tupac. So I kind of figured one of two things was going to happen. It was either the end of my career or the beginning of something else. And to be honest with you, something came over me while I was on that stage, because I had never done his songs before. I'd never even tried to do his lyrics before, but it came out and the crowd kind of went nuts. Now that that actual performance has been posted online ever since it happened, because the people that were with me took pictures of it on their phone and they posted it. Now, very shortly thereafter, Atron's name came up because I was on my way to do a performance at the Urban Network in Los Angeles, and a gentleman named Free Jack came to see me. And he said that I figured you'd know that name. And basically he said, yeah, they sent me to come check you out. And it was a pretty incredible day. And I'll just leave it to suffice it to say that some extraordinary things have been happening. I can't really explain it myself, but if any of you have ever heard of a woman named Sophia Stewart, they call her the mother of the Matrix, or she's actually
Yeah.
Okay, so I've actually been asked by her to produce her documentary, because in the course of the time that I was working on this project and then came across this whole Tupac situation, she's kind of been my go-to person to talk about, the things that were happening and why, because it became a very big deal. I ended up, making a trip to Atlanta to see the compound that Afeni had put together. And, when I got there, I had never been to the site or whatever, but there was a gentleman that walked me out to the grass, and he was giving me a tour. And when I got to the grass, he stopped, and I was kind of in a trance. So the rest of what happened was actually told to me. I hit the grass, and something compelled me to walk in a particular direction. And the gentleman stopped because he wanted to see where I ended up, I guess. And I ended up falling to my knees, in a spot where they said that Afeni was buried or had prayed, or I don't know. It was just too overwhelming. But and as I was standing there, apparently there were helicopters over the top of the facility, and they were, I don't know, taking note of whatever was going on. But it was just a pretty extraordinary day. A lot of tears. A lot of the people that were working at the facility seemed to, be overwhelmed as well as I was. But there's definitely a extraordinary energy, and I only say that because my life's experiences are not normal, not ordinary by any stretch of imagination. And I noticed that there was a little bit earlier, or no, is Terry Heller? Is Terry Heller related to Jerry Heller?
Yes.
Jerry was my manager. And we're talking before N.W.A. So I was at his funeral when he passed, because no matter what they told about him in the story, I feel like they told some things that were not 100% correct about his character. So I don't want to distract from what you guys have going on in this room, but I definitely was attracted to the room. I want to say thank you to, definitely all the moderators who were present. I know that you guys have been putting in a lot of work, none of which can be taken lightly. So big ups to you guys. And just know that if I can lend my services, if it becomes something that you guys find a need for, or find that I can be of any assistance, I'm all in, and humbly would be honored to be a part of whatever you guys have going on.
Man, appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Brother Neil. We appreciate that, Neil. And
Forgive me.
Sophia Stewart is our
Yep.
is someone that we've personally deal with and talk with. I've actually circulated her prayer, her angel, the power of the tongue, angel prayer, with a prepper list of about 4,000, maybe about 2,000 to 4,000 women and children for being on Clubhouse the past 30 to 40 days. So Sophia Stewart's a mentor of ours. We've been documenting and working with her on some things. So we love your story and what you're doing as a prodigy, going to Stanford from the Bay, from the Oakland. So Leila, he's official. He went to Stanford.
Actually, I didn't go to Stanford. They studied me when I was in second grade.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate you.
No, thank you. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be here. Oh, and I'll be on with Sophia tomorrow at 6.
Right on. Ping me. I follow you. All right, Alfonso.
I loved all the tie-ins.
Hi. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's law is wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Funny, it seems. But by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared.
Thank you, sister. That was beautiful. Where you from? Oh, she just dropped the mic and left the room like that, Leila. She must come from the AIM.
Hey, D-Love, appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing that as well. To reset the room, we're about to be here Wednesday from 8 p.m. Pacific to 10 p.m. Countdown the 21 weeks to Pac's 50th birthday. Appreciate everyone joining us. This is a live podcast. We are recording and we'll be distributing at some point through our socials, Truth About Tupac Movement, which you can find on all platforms. Bigger Picture Productions, Aim for the Heart. That's Leila Steinberg. Thank you to Atron. Thank you to Jody, DJ Daryl, Rashad, Hashim, Terry, everyone that's been here and that spoke. Terry, Neil, appreciate it. Brave Poets.
Big shout out to Brave Poets too, man. Brave Poets, that was beautiful. You connected every single person's name. You connected the whole interview. This was our first Truth About Tupac podcast on Clubhouse, and that poem, along with Sister Adana, was beautiful.
Hey, D-Love, Atron, you still here? I got a question for you real quick that can help.
I'm here.
Hey, do you have any songs from the Tupac's group, The Kids, with Jesse in them? Like, he had a song called The Streets Got Your Babies, and I always want to know, can I call Akira up? Akira, he might have it on one of Dion's old machines or something, but did you have any of the songs he did with The Kids? Because I think that is something that a lot of people don't realize, that Pac was mentoring Jesse and those kids, and some of those songs are like beautiful songs for young black males that are still relevant today.
Yeah, they are great songs. And yes, I do have them.
I was wondering if you were
Thank you. I might come by your house just to listen to them again.
Leila, I guess that's the best. I guess the best way I can answer is just the truth. Yeah, I have them.
Well, please share it with the world one day, Try, because those are beautiful songs. I mean, The Streets Got Your Babies. I don't know a better song.
Those are later conversations, but that's a good one.
I'm working on that as we speak, about sharing it with the world.
Thank you very much.
What's up, Brett?
Hey, what's up, Leila? How you doing?
I'm good.
I just wanted to say something about, I heard earlier someone saying like that everything went out the window. I don't really think it did, because he lives on through all of us, and he gave an interview towards the end of his life saying, God willing, if I'm alive, it's on. I guarantee you we're going to start a political party. It's not going to just be for blacks and Mexicans, Armenians. So that movement, and like you touched on earlier about change, and today being a historic day, and we'll see how that goes as we do with each president. But that's something to be active in the movement and all the events over the course of last summer. It's like people need to get more to the speaking and organizing on that community level again. The grassroots stuff that was happening in Atlanta, getting those 2 senators elected. I mean, those are the kinds of things that he wanted us to do, because if he was still here, he probably wouldn't be doing music. He would probably be in office or doing something of that nature, because he was always elevating to the next stage.
Correct.
And thank you for inviting me to the stage.
I think it's so important you said that, because the one important thing that we have to look at is Tupac's work is more alive than it's ever been. He is still here. And if for those of us that were close to him, he did not believe this was his first go round here on this planet. He always knew that the work would be here long after he wasn't. Every song was curriculum. Everything he said was with intention. And the challenge is that when you have that level of power, we're still human. So the ego is a lot to deal with. And so in some ways, he always said his work would be much more powerful when he wasn't here anymore. And I didn't understand that 25 years ago. I selfishly was so devastated at the loss of him that I couldn't really articulate and understand what he meant. And I see it now. I see that we're sitting here talking about him right now because we live and we breathe his work. And that there's no way that the ego doesn't get in the way when we're still here. And so I almost feel like he knew that. And that's why he left us this work, that we together could spend the next however many weeks going into deeper analysis, going into some of his song lyrics and some of the sessions, having people like we did today, Atron, Jody, Daryl, Hashem, Rashad, people who actually were there, were connected. And while you all have primary sources and have people that were there and that were present, it is important to ask us the questions and to dialogue with us, because we don't necessarily know what needs to be shared, but it matters to us that all of this work lives past all of us. So I appreciate what you said. I'm going to let Asher and D-Love close it out, but I just wanted to thank all of you for coming. I could talk about Tupac every day.
We get it.
And my commitment is a forever commitment that he matters and he is a household name all over the world. So,
Hey, real quick, Ashley, can I say something? Barretts, just before, because you made a good point with black and brown people. And I was in the studio when a group called the Funky Aztecs from Vallejo came in and did a song with Pac, right? And it's important because Pac was working with Chicano communities way back before he was Tupac that everybody knows. So get it, check it out. The Funky Aztecs or something. It's called Slipping in the Darkness, right? And I don't know what happened to it, but I'm just telling you, I saw him working with Chicano brothers.
He sure was. He was all about bringing the black and brown community together.
Yeah, I think the Funky Aztecs records on all the DSPs, so Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, you can hear it. You can hear the song that Pac did with him.
Man, appreciate that. Appreciate that comment too, Barretts. This is the idea behind Pac's political ideology and legacy is why Truth About Tupac became what it became, and be that spark, the brain that would spark the world, as Daryl's talking about. From the Truth About Tupac, man, we've heard so many stories from different people and how they were influenced or touched by Pac's legacy. As Daryl says, the Pac energy that's infectious. And we are pushing the end of the hour. We have only two people on stage we haven't heard from, which is Onel and Amir. And I know Onel's been quietly, and he was in mic sessions the other day lately. He spit a piece. I asked him to spit a piece, but I really wanted him to. He's got some old school flavor that really resonates, that Pac energy. And I think maybe, Onel, if you got a question or if you want to share something, and then we'll go to Amir, and then we'll close out and we'll pick it up next week. Same time, same place.
Asher, man, I appreciate that. Sound like Mike Tyson for a second. Shout out, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I've just been listening. Pac was a huge influence on my life, man. And I know the moments, I was 15 years old, around that age group. And, as a young kid, as a young teenager trying to find my way, trying to find, what am I doing? And I was always around, the quote unquote bad kids, but I always had that thought that there was something greater. You can't pick on that kid. We can't just be a group of bullies. We got to do something positive. And I've always just, did that. I left. I moved to Maryland to kind of get my thoughts. All eyes on me. I had like all kinds of Pox things that I brought with me, and I remember. And I'm going to spit a little something for you just so you can kind of understand where I was in that point in time. But I remember, he gave permission. If you listen to his words, he gave you permission to love. He gave you permission to be yourself. He gave you permission to just understand life from a different lens than what the oppressors want us to believe and how they divide to conquer us, right? And I always felt the passion, not to be in his lane or try to be him, but to see where he was carrying the torch, because I was on that path. I love that path, and just to hear all you guys, speak on him, it's crazy to come back how much years later and actually, be thrown right back into the past, into those emotions, because I still feel that way today. I'm in cannabis as an example, and, there's a lot of changing that needs to be done. And quite frankly, I'm not waiting for anyone else to do it. I'm already plotting and planning and strategizing and trying to pull people together to make these changes. It's just been obnoxious. But anyway, thanks for the platform. Pac has definitely been influential. I pierced my nose because of that dude, believe it or not. It's just been crazy. But anyway, this is kind of what I felt. I'm going to spit something real quick. So this was a time when I was going through some hard stuff. So, you see, I've cared for you for quite some time, and I ain't giving up. I'll be here as long as you need. Fall, I'll help you up. You so sweet in my memory, hope you remember me. Every time you close your eyes with thoughts so heavenly. Picture us together happily, Chardonnay and daiquiri, just to pass the time, laughing and passion. The answers to the questions you asking is yes, I do. And always, I'm here for you everlasting. But things change. Do you know what pain is? Have you felt it pierce
Your chest till tears foam in your eyes, your ears. Deaf to understanding, just can't cope no more. Patience being remanded, anger's released once more. Day one of the drama seemed more like bad karma. Unprepared, meant to leave with the armor. She attacked me. Prayed on the days that she made me happy. I reminisced on the days that she called me pappy. I never would have thought she would amount to this, amount to shit. I'm done with this. My eyes have spoken. To the skies, I'm hoping. Realize that these cries are drunk with pain. I maintain my focus, but I'm left wide open. My insides are showing. She's exposed my worst fears, but again, I'm growing. So with or without her, I'm knowing I'm real to the bone. It's her loss, I'm blowing. So get lost, I'm going, I'm gone. And that's it.
Thank you, Brother O'Neill. That's beautiful. Appreciate you on the first Truth About Tupac podcast. And we got 10 o'clock on the strike and the countdown. Make sure everybody go follow us on all of the social media platforms on the Truth About Tupac. Also, we're going to end it with Brother Amir. Let's make it real quick. Hate to do that to you, brother.
Oh, it's all good. I was just listening. I had to dip out and put my son to sleep. So, had to do my fatherly duties. But I guess the only thing I really want to say with regard to Pac, one, Hashim is my big homie. So I've always been, I used to come out warming up in AAU games to Soulja Story. And I grew up with the Pac energy and ethos embedded in things that I do before I even understood what he was. And the main thing I would like to say, just because I don't know what everybody said, but the fact that Pac in many ways is the only superstar rapper to ever call out the names of the political prisoners means more than any fucking platinum plaque, any accolade that is acknowledged by the industry, because in many ways there are a lot of people throughout the world who love Pac that learned about the political prisoners through Pac. And if you can call out and honor those who struggled and sacrificed their lives, whether it's in the field or, as Mumia would say, living that slow death on death row, if you can call them out and make sure people acknowledge them, that's more than hip hop, So I just think that it's important to remember, that Pac. I mean, that's the Pac I hold on to more, more than anything, is the fact that even though he died so young, the fact that he was calling out, the political prisoners who are still locked up in prison.
Thank you.
They're still there. And and Pac died a long time ago, and they still in prison, His father is in prison,
With
and
terminal cancer.
Just to remember, like, those people, if we love Pac, love those elders. Those are our elders that are dying in prison right now of COVID and cancer. They're in their 70s, 80s. If we love Pac, then understand that, he's a Panther Cub. And we got to love those people that loved him. And we got to love those people that he honored. And if we truly love the spirit of Pac, that spirit of Pac was born through struggle, and not just the struggle of the personal, but the struggle for the liberation of Black folks, and not just Black folks in America, but Black folks throughout the diaspora. So that's just all I wanted to say, man. I appreciate y'all having this.
Tell them you rap too now, man. Tell them you rap.
Man, I don't, but I don't like talking about me. So basically, for the sake of Hosh, I was in a Frontline. I was in a hip hop group called Frontline. I have a PhD from UC Berkeley. I have a postdoc at Stanford. I teach a course. I've taught courses on hip hop on my own, and a part of the reason I've done that was to show the maturation of hip hop can go outside of the emceeing sphere, and how emceeing could actually be used as pedagogy to teach courses, and how sampling techniques can be used as the ways in which to build upon writing papers, because you're sampling other literatures in order to make this paper. It's also the same as me sampling drums or hi-hats or bass line. So I mean, I do a bunch of other shit, but my point was to just honor, what Pac meant to me. And that's 4 minutes, and maybe it's 2 minutes too long, but I appreciate y'all having the space.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Again,
Thank you for joining us tonight. Man, so on that note, we can wrap this up so we can be on time and we can be consistent every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 10. Truth About Tupac podcast, 21-week countdown. Next week will be part 2, 20 weeks away from Pac's 50th birthday. Please stay tuned. As Darius always says, it's not a cartoon, it's a platoon. Coming soon. On that note, I'm going to start moving people down to the audience, back to the audience, then we can close out the room, man. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you follow Truth About Tupac on all platforms. Follow your moderators so that you can get pinged when we come back. And any last words, Darius, Leila?
Appreciate you all. Thank
God bless and God night. Make sure you guys play a Pac song in memory for all the fallen soldiers and the comrades. Make sure you ping people and let them know we coming back Wednesday even stronger and stronger. Continue to break down all of the different leaders and all of the different soldiers that has fallen for our liberation. It's time for us as a mighty nation to rise. Rise and come up out of all of the different plagues and all of the different things that have hurt us for so long. And that comes back to us not loving one another. So if you could do anything, let's love one another. Realize there's strength in each other. Have a blessed night. It's Truth About Tupac signing out. N.W.A, Leila Steinberg, Atron Gregory, DJ Daryl, Professor Jody Armour, Rashid, Brother Amir, and the whole family in the inner core of Mr. Shakur. Your honor and salute to Mama Faye. Happy belated birthday. All praises to the Most High. Go ahead, Ashley. Pull that plug.